They said it would be a simple medical evaluation, but no one warned me I'd have to spread my legs in front of two human males. I remember the lights first. Cool, sterile, humming from the ceiling panels like an artificial breeze. The medical bay of Argos 9 was surprisingly modest for a human-built interstellar station. Clean, efficient, but modest. No crystal conduits, no bioluminescent tiles. Just metal and glass and a faint smell of citrus sterilizers. "Welcome to Argos 9, one of them said. Dr. Cole Reyes. He was the quiet one. Tall, with warm brown eyes and a voice that could probably lull a dying star to sleep. When he extended his hand to greet me, I hesitated. Contact rituals differ between species, but I accepted it anyway. His grip was firm, professional. Reassuring, almost. Then came the other one. "And I'm Dr. Jace Andar," he said, grinning like the airlock just popped open and let the chaos in. He wore his uniform slightly unzipped, goggles perched on his head like he'd just stepped out of a plasma storm. One of his eyes shimmered silver cybernetic. The other sparkled green, curious, and entirely too amused. Two males. Human. And me. I had been briefed, of course. The Elyndari Emissary Code required a full physical evaluation before participation in any diplomatic activity. What it didn't say was that humans unlike my own kind conducted such evaluations with such directness. The first half was tolerable. Neural scans. Reflex tests. A few strange pokes with instruments that beeped in colorful confusion. I answered their questions. I even laughed, politely, at one of Jace's poorly translated jokes. Then came the chair. Cole was the one who said it. Calm. Professional. "Now, if you could please lie back and place your feet here, we'll begin the reproductive system assessment." I blinked. "You wish to examine my fertility cycle?" He nodded, adjusting a scanner. "Standard protocol. Nothing invasive, just positioning for better alignment." "Positioning?" I echoed. Jace added helpfully, "Yeah, just swing your legs up into the stirrups. Don't worry, we've done this 100 times." That's when I froze. My entire species' reproductive customs, my caste training, my ancestors' expectations, all of them screamed in horror. I stood up. Hard. The examination chair squealed behind me as I pushed away from it like it was on fire. I looked from one man to the other, betrayal boiling beneath my skin. "You intend to look upon my inner sanctum?" "Together." Cole blinked. Jace nearly choked. "You're, what now?" Jace coughed, trying not to laugh. "On Elyndar," I snapped, "only one bonded soul may witness such things. The opening of the legs is sacred, it signifies a commitment. You cannot ask this of me. Not unless..." I paused, horror-struck. "Are you proposing?" "Both of you." Cole turned a deeper shade of pink than I thought human skin could manage. "No. No, no, no goddess, no. It's not like that," he stammered, hands raised. Jace, unfortunately, found this far too entertaining. He leaned against the scanner table, biting back laughter, his cybernetic eye pulsing erratically. "Well, I mean, if you're asking." "Jace," Cole snapped. Right, sorry, he said, still grinning. Very professional. Medical only. I narrowed my eyes at them, heart racing, breath uneven. On my world, this would be cause for ritual reprimand. Possibly exile. Definitely years of therapy. This exam is a violation, I said slowly. I was not informed that I would be asked to expose my reproductive systems to strangers. Let alone, male ones. Cole took a deep breath. You're right. I should have consulted the cross-cultural index. I didn't mean to offend you, Ambassador Vera. Serali, I corrected, still wary. He nodded. Serali. There was a pause. The silence grew thick. Then, softly, Cole said, we do have non-invasive bioscanners. It won't give us every detail, but it's enough to clear you for station activity. Would that be acceptable? I exhaled. Yes. That would be preferable. Behind him, Jace whispered, she really thought we were both proposing. Stars above. I did not laugh. Not then. But I may have smiled. Just a little. The bioscanner hummed softly, a delicate thrum that almost matched the pulse in my temples. Dr. Reyes stood beside the console, his fingers dancing across a holographic interface. His demeanor had shifted, no longer the strictly professional silence, but something gentler. Quieter. As if he were navigating not just my biology, but my trust. We'll begin with a general scan, he said, glancing at me. His voice was calm again. That human softness, it unnerved me more than the machines. I nodded, settling onto the scanning table. This time, there was no strange chair. No stirrups. Just a softly glowing surface beneath me in a dome of light that slowly passed from my toes to my brow. Vitals are strong, he murmured, eyes flicking across the data stream. No anomalies in circulatory or neural systems. He trailed off. My eyes snapped to him. What is it? He hesitated, then offered a small smile. Just fascinating. Your biofield symmetry is unlike anything in the Confederation archives. Almost fractal in complexity. I blinked. Is that good? Jace, lounging on a nearby stool with his arms crossed, chimed in, if your scans were a painting, you'd be hanging in a museum with security drones guarding the frame. Cole shot him a look. Jace shrugged. What? It's true. I tilted my head. Is that a courtship phrase? Jace choked. Cole blinked. Not Cole began. It can be. Jace said with a grin. Depends how it's received. I consider this. So when you say I should be guarded in a museum, you are expressing desire for bonding. Oh stars, Jace muttered, rubbing his forehead. Look, I'm just saying you're impressive. That's all. Cole cleared his throat. Let's stay focused. Scan is nearly complete. I noticed how his hand hovered just a little too long over the projection, as if reluctant to move to the next section. His eyes lingered on the scan longer than necessary. Dr. Reyes, I said quietly, are you also expressing courtship in your own way? His gaze snapped to mine, startled. No, I mean, of course not. That's not. This is strictly medical. But his ears had turned a suspicious shade of red. Ah, I said, keeping my expression neutral. So the flaring of the cheeks is not a sign of mating interest either? Jace snorted. Cole, you're turning so red. Focus, Jace, Cole muttered. The scan concluded with a gentle chime. Cole stepped back, reviewing the data. You're in excellent health. Even by Elyndari standards. I asked. Even by ours, he said, then cleared his throat. We'll submit the report. You're officially cleared for diplomatic activity. Then we are done here? Unless you have questions. Or need clarification. Jace leaned forward, resting his chin on one hand. Actually, I have a question. Do Elyndari always assume compliments mean someone's proposing? Not always, I said. Only when offered by two males in close proximity during a reproductive evaluation. Jace cracked up. Cole did not. I slipped off the scanning table. The air felt lighter. I wasn't sure if it was relief or confusion. Thank you, Dr. Reyes. Dr. Andar. I appreciate your patience. Cole nodded, still avoiding my eyes. Jace winked. Anytime, Ambassador. As I stepped out of the medical bay, I caught a glimpse of Cole watching me go. It wasn't professional. And I didn't mind. 3 days later, I returned to the medical bay. Voluntarily. I told myself it was for a follow-up. That it was only prudent to ensure all systems remained stable after the initial bioscan. I might have even muttered something about recalibration thresholds and atmospheric variations as I stood outside the sliding doors, pretending not to hesitate. They opened with a sigh. Cole was already inside, reviewing something on his tablet. He looked up, startled, then stood a little too fast. Ambassador Vera. I wasn't expecting. Serali, I corrected, stepping in. This is a personal check-in. His brow furrowed slightly, but he nodded. Of course. Is something wrong? No, I simply wish to confirm the bioscanner's results. For accuracy. Of course, he said again, calmer now. His voice dropped to that low, steady hum that reminded me of nebulous storms, quiet, powerful, and always a little dangerous. Before I could speak further, Jace swung into the room like he'd been waiting behind the wall. Serali. Back for round 2? I knew you missed us. He was chewing on something, probably human candy, and his goggles were perched on his head like usual, tilted at a rakish angle that made him look half technician, half mischief incarnate. There are no rounds, I said, narrowing my eyes. That's what they all say, he winked. Cole made a noise in his throat that might have been disapproval. Or jealousy. I climbed onto the scanner bed without waiting for instruction. Jace leaned on the wall across from me. You know, if this were Elyndari courtship, I think we're already halfway bonded. Jace, Cole warned. What? I'm being culturally sensitive. Cole turned to me. Would you prefer I conduct the scan privately? I considered that. Then, perhaps out of curiosity or the desire to observe them both, I shook my head. Proceed as before. Cole began activating the scanner. The soft dome of light returned, brushing along my frame like a second skin. It hummed a gentle tone that almost soothed the tension in the room. Your biofield remains unchanged, he said, focused. Perfectly balanced. That's very Elyndari of her, Jace offered. Always symmetrical. Always stunning. You are complimentary again, I noted. And you haven't run screaming, he replied. I take that as progress. Cole tapped the control a little harder than necessary. I noticed it. The scan finished its first pass. Cole looked at me longer than he needed to. Something else, Dr. Reyes. He blinked. No. It's just rare to see patterns like yours. It's beautiful. In a mathematical sense. I tilted my head. You find math beautiful. He hesitated. Sometimes. Especially when it surprises me. Jace let out a long breath. Man, you're making the rest of us look bad. Cole ignored him. Or tried to. You both act unusually today, I said. Is this what human competition for mating looks like? Jace burst out laughing. Cole choked on air. It was a sincere question, I added. Jace wiped a tear from his eye. Oh stars, Serali. Please never stop talking. Cole stepped back from the scanner. You're clear. Again. But if you'd like to return anytime, for curiosity, or comfort, or conversation, the lab is always open. His voice cracked just slightly at the end. I slid down from the scanner, pausing between them. One quiet and intense. The other loud and charming. Both utterly confusing. I believe I will return, I said. Jace raised an eyebrow. For who? I looked at them both. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled without needing to suppress it. I haven't decided yet. Then I left. Slowly. Letting them wonder. The lights in the lab were low that evening, casting quiet shadows across the polished surfaces. Most of the station had gone into standby. Cole Reyes hadn't. He stood near the back wall, tapping notes into a floating display, but I knew he wasn't really working. His focus wavered every time I moved. I could feel it, even in the silence between us. I stepped closer. You wish to speak privately, I said. He looked up, startled. Then his voice softened. Yes. Thank you for coming. I waited. Let him begin. I've been thinking about what you said the last time, he continued. About courtship. About bonding rituals. I realized. I don't really understand what it means for someone from Elyndar. My fingers brushed the edge of the counter. Smooth. Cold. On Elyndar, connection is sacred. Controlled. Regulated by caste and ritual. We are taught that physical closeness must be earned through years of compatibility testing, dream sharing, and spiritual alignment. Cole blinked slowly. So no dancing, no kissing, no casual hand-holding. I gave him a look. Touch, in public, is reserved for spiritual resonance ceremonies. Kissing, as you call it, is part of the union rite. Once performed, it cannot be undone. He blinked again. So, you've never? No, I said simply. The silence between us swelled again. But it wasn't awkward. It was weighty. Reverent. You said emotions are also discouraged, he asked quietly. I nodded. To feel is considered a distraction. Logic and clarity are our ideals. Expressing affection freely, as humans do, would be seen as a loss of composure. An indulgence. He leaned back against the table, arms folded, thoughtful. And do you believe that? I paused. Looked at him longer than I needed to. I used to. There was something about Cole. The way he listened without interrupting. The way he didn't rush to fill silence with words. His presence made me want to say more than I intended. My caste specializes in analysis, data, observation. But when I observed humans, I saw a different kind of strength. You wear your hearts on your sleeves. You take risks. You love without knowing if it will be returned. Cole's smile was faint but warm. We mess up a lot too. Yes, I said. But sometimes, you feel more alive than we do. He looked at me, and for a moment I couldn't look away. Then the door slid open. Jace. Interrupting, he asked, already knowing the answer. Cole stepped aside, the moment between us retreating like a tide. Not at all, I said. Jace grinned and held up a small glowing disc. Good. Because I come bearing invitations. There's a crew gathering tonight in the observation lounge. Music. Food. Questionable dancing. I figured, why not show our favorite ambassador what human joy looks like in the wild? Cole raised an eyebrow. Are you sure that's appropriate? I didn't say formal, Jace replied. I said fun. He turned to me, holding out the disc. Come with us. You've studied our biology. Time to study our chaos. I took the invitation and held it like it might dissolve in my hand. Is this part of a courtship ritual? I asked. Jace laughed. Not unless you want it to be. This is just us being human. I looked between the two of them. Cole's gaze was unreadable. Jace's sparkled with mischief. Something inside me stirred. Not logic. Not ritual. Something less structured. More curious. I will attend, I said. Later that evening, I stood at the edge of the observation lounge, surrounded by music and laughter and motion. Humans moved in ways that defied symmetry. They touched freely. Danced in clusters. Their energy pulsed like stars. Jace was already in the center of it all, twirling a technician while holding a drink in one hand. He spotted me and waved dramatically. She came. A small cheer went up. I blinked. Cole was at the far side of the room, watching too. He offered a nod. Subtle. Protective. Jace approached, offering his hand. Care to try? I hesitated. This resembles a pre-bonding ritual. He smiled. I'll be gentle. I let him lead me into the movement. The rhythm was strange, unpredictable. My steps faltered, but Jace didn't laugh. He adapted. Guided. We spun once. And then I caught Cole's eyes across the room. He wasn't smiling. Not because he disapproved. Because he was feeling something. Something he wasn't saying. And so was I. The alarm came in the middle of the night cycle. Not the blaring kind that signaled fire or hull breach. No, this one was silent. Subtle. A blinking red icon on the medbay's main console. Unauthorized access detected. Cole was the first to see it. He'd stayed late again claiming paperwork, but really just trying to make sense of the confusion growing behind his eyes. When the icon pulsed, he froze. Then his fingers flew. System logs, he muttered, pulling up encrypted entry points. One name lit up on the screen like a flare in deep space, Serali Vera. More specifically her genetic scan data. The files weren't just accessed. They were being copied. In real time. No, no, no. He slapped the override, locking out the transfer. A split-second delay, but the damage was done. Whoever had breached the system already had partial access. Jace arrived moments later, shirt wrinkled, expression tight. You saw it too? Cole nodded grimly. Someone went after Serali's records. They didn't go for general crew files. Just hers. Jace's face darkened. That's not a coincidence. Cole hesitated. There's something else. It was routed through a diplomatic node. Someone masked it to look like a regular request from the Confederation archive. Clever bastards, Jace muttered. You think it's local? No idea. The door slid open behind them. Serali. She wore a loose overrobe, clearly roused from her quarters. Her eyes glowed brighter than usual, alert, scanning. I received an emergency ping on my internal channel. Why? She stopped. Her gaze fell on the screen. On the blinking file tag labeled Genetic Bio Profile, Elyndari _Ambassador _Serali _Vera. Her hands trembled. That data is restricted. Locked under spiritual protocol. Someone breached it, Cole said gently. We stopped the full transfer, but... She stepped back. Like the console had turned to fire. You do not understand, she whispered. That file contains information about my reproductive viability. To access it without consent is considered. Her breath hitched. It is equivalent to spiritual violation. It means I have been opened. To all eyes. Without meaning. Jace moved toward her. We're going to fix this. You cannot unsee what has been taken. Cole stood still. Serali, we'll track the breach. We'll scrub the servers. We'll find out who did it. I promise. She looked between them, struggling to contain what must have felt like her whole world unraveling. Do you think this is coincidence? She asked. There are factions on Elyndar and Earth who resent our alliance. They would use this to shame me. To discredit everything I've done. Jace nodded. We've suspected sabotage before. But this is personal. The medbay fell into tense silence. We need to find the source, Cole said. Now. The two men moved like they had done this 100 times before. Cole at the console, Jace patching in external feeds, decrypting data trails, cross-checking timestamps. But under the surface, pressure built. Why didn't you encrypt the scans tighter? Jace snapped suddenly. You knew she was a diplomatic target. It was under triple-layer lockdown, Cole shot back. No system is unbreachable. You think I wanted this? I think you've been distracted, Jace growled. You stare at her like you're already soul-bound. And you don't? Cole barked. The console beeped ping, finding a match on the breach address. They both ignored it. You flirt like it's your job, Cole said. You think this is a game? She trusted us. And you think she's yours? Jace fired back. We're not in some noble mating duel, Cole. This is real. Serali's voice cut through the rising tension. Enough. Both men froze. She stood between them now, composed but trembling. This is not about your rivalry. This is about my dignity. My safety. If you cannot work together to restore what was taken from me, then step aside. Her tone wasn't raised, but it echoed like thunder. For a beat, no one moved. Then Cole turned back to the screen. The breach originated from relay node 7C. It's one of ours, but the signal was bounced through a ghost terminal. I can trace it back, Jace said quietly. Give me 10 minutes. You have 5, Serali replied. They got to work. Side by side. Silent. Focused. Angry. Protective. And beneath it all something neither of them dared say out loud. Yet. The next morning, Serali stood in the docking bay with a day top hat in hand. Her request for reassignment had already been processed. Efficiency was a point of pride among Elyndari diplomats, especially when it came to undoing complications. Cole found her first. He didn't say anything at first. Just stood beside her, watching the shuttles being loaded across the bay. She didn't look at him. I read your request, he finally said. I assumed you would, she replied. I didn't approve it. That got her attention. She turned to him, surprised. You overruled a diplomatic transfer? No, Cole said calmly. I delayed it. She exhaled sharply. You shouldn't have. My presence here only complicates your work. And your feelings. He looked at her, really looked at her, and she felt the weight of it settle around them like gravity. You think leaving will simplify anything? That this just disappears because you do. I know what my culture expects of me, she said. One bond. One direction. Not this. Cole's voice was quieter now. Then maybe your culture needs to catch up. Jace arrived a moment later, a bag slung over his shoulder. You weren't going to say goodbye? Serali stiffened. I didn't think it would be appropriate. Jace gave a crooked smile that didn't reach his eyes. Right. Because everything about this has been so appropriate. She looked between them. Two humans. Two hearts. Two paths she wasn't allowed to walk at once. On Elyndar, this would be enough to shame my caste, she said. Two suitors. Emotional conflict. A compromised data file that speaks of fertility. It's everything we are trained to avoid. Cole stepped forward. Serali. No, she held up a hand. Let me finish. I know I've made this harder for both of you. But I cannot pretend I don't feel something. For both of you. That would be dishonest. Jace rubbed the back of his neck. Well. That's kind of mutual. Cole looked at her, voice steady. I don't care about Elyndar's rights or bonding laws. I don't care about what your ancestors whispered into your training. I just want to understand you. Jace said nothing. But he didn't leave either. His eyes held something deeper. Something unspoken, but present. Serali felt something shift inside her. Not clarity, exactly. But something close to acceptance. I do not know what this is, she said. But I know that it is real. And that I am not ready to abandon it yet. Cole exhaled. Jace blinked. She turned back toward the shuttle. Then closed the data pad. Delay the transfer, she said. Indefinitely. Cole smiled. Jace raised his eyebrows. Guess we better figure out how to navigate this triangle without imploding. Serali looked at both of them. If you think I am complicated now, wait until I start asking real questions. They laughed. And in that laughter, something fragile and beautiful began to grow. It started during a routine bio-calibration. Serali had returned for what was supposed to be a standard follow-up. Her vitals had been stable. Neural feedback smooth. Hormone levels, mostly predictable. Until they weren't. The scanner beeped once. Then again. Cole frowned. Jace looked up from the console, chewing the end of a stylus. That's not normal, is it? Cole didn't answer immediately. He ran the data twice. Then manually cross-checked against the Elyndari compatibility charts Serali had shared weeks ago. His voice came low, almost stunned. She's sinking. Jace blinked. Like, sinking. Hormonal resonance. It's a bonding indicator in Elyndari physiology. Serali sat up slowly. That is, not possible. Cole turned the display toward her. Two distinct resonance spikes. Two frequency signatures. Both human. Both present. It appears, he said carefully, you've formed a biolink. With both of us. Silence. Then a very human curse from Jace. Stars above. Serali stared at the screen. This must be an error. I've triple-checked, Cole said. It's not. She stood, pacing. Her robe flared behind her like storm clouds in motion. That is biologically incompatible. Elyndari cannot form dual bonds. Our system selects one match only. It's the cornerstone of our reproductive protocol. Then maybe something's changed, Jace said. She stopped. What do you mean? You said yourself our cultures are evolving. Maybe this isn't an error. Maybe it's a mutation. an adaptation. Cole added, a sign of cross-species compatibility. A potential evolutionary leap. Serali looked between them. Her voice came small. Or a scandal. The message from Elyndari came hours later. Not a conversation. Not a request. A summons. The council demanded her return. Her case would be studied. Reviewed. Contained. When she read the message, her hands trembled. Cole was the first to speak. You don't have to go. They will come for me if I do not. Then we'll stand in the way. Jace stepped forward. You're not a specimen. You're not some genetic experiment they get to dissect. You're not theirs, Cole said. You're you. And you get to choose. Serali looked at them. Her expression fractured, half fear, half defiance. I did not ask for this. No, Cole said gently. But maybe it asked for you? Jace's voice was quieter. And maybe it chose the right person? Her eyes shimmered. Not glowing. Just wet. She nodded. Not in agreement. In resolve. This connection, unintended, unprecedented, was no accident. It was a beginning. The council chamber was as silent as it was sterile. Clean lines. Cool light. Faces projected on hollow panels like judges from a distant constellation. Representatives from Elyndari. The Interstellar Confederation. A few station commanders pretending not to fidget. Serali stood alone in the center of the room. Except she wasn't alone. Cole and Jace were both present, seated to either side of the room. Not allowed to speak. Not allowed to interfere. But they were there. She could feel their eyes on her. A voice from the Elyndari panel broke the quiet. Ambassador Vera. We request confirmation. You have undergone a dual hormonal biolink. Yes, Serali interrupted. Murmurs followed. With 2 human males, the voice finished, almost bitterly. Yes, she said again. You understand the cultural implications of this, another asked. I do. A pause. Then the oldest panelist spoke. And do you submit yourself for retrieval and containment under Code 43D? Serali let the silence breathe. Then shook her head. No, I decline. A few gasps. Cole sat straighter. Jace mouthed something she couldn't quite see. She lifted her chin. I am not broken. I am not dangerous. I am not an anomaly to be studied under glass. What has happened is unexpected, yes, but not unnatural. One of the Confederation envoys cleared his throat. Ambassador, if you refuse retrieval, Elyndari may. I will remain at Argos 9, Serali said clearly. And continue my work here. I will continue to collaborate with both Drs. Reyes and Andar. This isn't just collaboration, someone muttered. She smiled faintly. Perhaps not. The Elyndari panel flickered for a moment. Then the voice returned. Then you do so without the backing of your caste. So be it, Serali replied. Perhaps it is time our caste stopped deciding who we are? She turned without waiting for dismissal. Walked out. And when she did, both Cole and Jace stood to follow. Later, as the artificial sunset filtered through the viewing deck windows, the three of them sat together in silence. No documents. No reports. No protocols. Just stars. Cole leaned back, arms crossed behind his head. So, we're officially controversial now. I always was, Jace said. You're just catching up. Serali smiled, arms resting on her knees. There is still so much I don't understand about human emotion, she said. That's the fun part, Cole replied. Jace tilted his head. Think you're ready to scan us for a change? She turned to him slowly, violet eyes gleaming. I believe I will. She let the silence stretch again. Then added deadpan. And this time, I'll ask you to open your legs. Jace choked on his drink. Cole laughed. Serali just sat back and watched the stars. Not broken. Not studied. Just becoming something new.